Good morning, Bells Falls, and welcome to the feed. It's another
Fired up Wednesday
morning on the feed. We're ready to go. We have Justin with us again, so you know it's going to be a good show. First, we're going to start off with Marty and some local events coming up.
Local events coming up starting next week. It's been a long time coming, but Jesus Christ Superstar starts next week. So ticket sales are going fast. There's still plenty of tickets left, but ticket sales are going fast. So if you want to make sure that you go either the 29th, 30th, 31st, April 5th, 6th, or 7th, 7:30 p.m. at the Bells Falls Opera House, then go to mainstreetarts.org and get your tickets now. Because I can guarantee the second week, last year the second week sold out. The second week will sell out. So get your tickets.
And there are actually different ticket pricing. If you go on opening night,
it's a little less expensive.
It's a little less expensive.
Nice.
So they're trying to encourage people to come out and see what's going on, and so it looks really amazing.
I think it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
Very excited. And then just reminding everyone that it's that time of the year again for the annual Dance Away Cancer Benefit, which is actually held now up at the American Legion in Chester because they needed a bigger venue. And tickets are on sale at the bookstore, Salon 2000 in Chester, and then you could get a limited amount of tickets at the door. So if you want to go, make sure you get your tickets ahead of time. The money all goes towards cancer research. There's 2 live bands. There's a lot of auction items. It's a very, very fun time. So I'm totally curious this morning because I always look over. At Mike's notes in the morning, and I don't even know why he might have the word Beverly Hillbillies.
Well, we'll
notes.
get to that. We have a ways to go before we get to the Beverly Hillbillies. Yes. I want to put a plug in. About a month ago, we had John Marston on, and we talked about Leslie's and the cooking classes. Sue and I went last night, and we did the Spanish tapas class. Oh, man, was that cool. That was really great. The food was fantastic. You sit around a big table, and he talks, and he cooks, and you get sort of the history of the dishes and where you can get ingredients. And so it's like a real...
It's a full-on learning experience.
Of experience. And then the people, there were a lot of people that you meet and you get to like socialize, and so it was really a lot of fun. I would highly recommend it.
I went to. Have you guys ever gone?
No, not yet.
I think you guys would
Too
love
far
it.
of a commute for you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's a little tough.
It's a little tough, yeah.
You'd have to walk.
You have to cross that street.
Yes.
That's a dangerous intersection,
It is
actually.
taking your life in your hands. One time we went without flashlights and we were like trying to use our phones to make sure we didn't get hit.
But if you haven't done it, because that was my first time, and Marty had been telling me about it for a year now, saying that we should do it, and we finally did it, and
it's good fun.
It was well worth it.
Yep, and he has a few classes left, I think. Then they take a break because they go away on vacation, and then they'll come back, and that's when he does the outdoor barbecue classes, which are really popular.
I think the vegetarian cooking's the one that's coming up.
Yep, I think you're right. Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, it was interesting because there were some people. We actually have fans. And there were people that had seen us on TV, and they were going.
Wait a minute, have we broken double digits yet?
We might have.
Are we up to 10?
Or 11.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
I think we could be there.
But we have to mention our premier fans, Chris and Tom.
Yes, Chris and Tom,
who were not in class today.
Class this morning so that they could watch the feed.
I think it might have had something to do with the beagle. I'm not sure.
Yes, that's what we heard.
They're walking the beagle a lot. I don't know.
I think it's spring. It's like they get going and you never know.
That beagle needs a lot of walking.
And then just a little shout out. The town. You want to check out the Fact TV, the town meeting not the town meeting, but the village. I think it was the town of Rockingham was the meeting.
So it was a select board last night? Select board last night, yeah.
Yeah, they had a meeting last night talking about what to do about truck traffic downtown, which is, on Monday night there was a special meeting, what to do about truck traffic downtown, and last night was a follow-up meeting, or I guess a different meeting, and they had more people that were actually involved with trucks. The owner of BDR was there, and so they ended up rescinding.
It's a conundrum.
Yeah, well, it sounds like
they
ended up rescinding the vote that they had taken in January to limit truck weights and go back to trying to do a study, because it sounds like it's a lot more complicated than they originally thought. They thought it was just like, we own the road, we do this, but it sounds like they that the state might actually help them out downtown because it's an incorporated village and that makes it a state road
State road,
as
so
opposed
state would
to
have to maintain
a
it.
local road. And so there's a lot of
You were
variables.
saying, Justin, which seems to make sense, is you said that a few years ago it was set up that trucks could stay on the highway.
That higher weight, because it was, like all these downtowns, so you put these big trucks through, and the
'Cause
wear
obviously
and
we're not the
tear
only
and
ones,
the
yeah.
danger. I mean, it's not, it's not just limited to Bellas Falls. There's a lot, like Brattleboro is a similar kind of situation.
yeah.
Where you have these huge log trucks for Sir Sosimo going through, I mean, we got to look at ways to avoid that. But yeah, downtown's pretty potholed right now too.
Yeah, it is.
Which
standing joke is that they stop the guy for drunk driving.
Well, that's, I was just going to say, I've seen
I
that
was just
thing.
weaving,
where you
trying to miss the
potholes. I'm not driving drunk, I'm just trying to miss the potholes.
All right, well, Justin, here we are. It's spring.
It is kind of spring, right?
Yeah.
Well, technically it's spring. It doesn't really
technically.
feel like spring.
Yes.
The days are longer than the nights.
But hopefully it will start feeling like spring more. And have you noticed how fast the snow is melting? Like in just one day of sunshine now,
Yeah.
like it's
really
high enough to
close.
really make a difference. So
Yeah, that's when you start to feel hope.
We can pretend that spring is actually here in full force. But I want to talk a little about like the transition. We're kind of going from that more like hibernation type time where we tend to be more sluggish and we're eating a lot more comfort foods for the most part and stuff.
Right.
And switching over to springtime where there's like tons of activities to do and we generally want to get more active. And so there's a lot of things that we can do to help kind of ease that transition.
Which brings us to the Beverly Hillbillies. Because everything I learned in life, I learned on television.
on the old shows, of the old black and white shows.
And the Beverly Hillbillies, when spring came, Granny had to bring out the spring tonic. And everybody had to get tonicked. So Jen
what was in that
and
tonic?
Jethro, and that was the funny part about it, is that they would always, do all sorts of weird things after they
Granny's tonic.
After they took Granny's tonic. But anyway, that was the whole idea. And I actually brought up the idea because people, like I said, we had a fan last night at Leslie's, and they were going, "What's the show about?" And I said, "Well, we're going to be talking about spring tonics and cleanses." And she goes, "Do you mean cod liver oil?" And I have to ask, "Do you mean cod liver oil?" Because I guess when she was young, that was their spring tonic, is that they would take cod liver oil.
Well, cod liver oil is an awesome supplement. I don't think of it necessarily so specific for spring as much as just like an all the time potential tonic. It's rich in vitamin D and vitamin A and omega-3s. I mean, part of this whole idea of the spring cleanse or spring tonics came from a time when like we were eating like salt pork all winter and hardtack and like there's no fresh vegetables, and actually like the term spring fever literally referred to like illness from all of a sudden eating all these fresh foods after eating tons of preserved food all winter, and then all of a sudden you get this influx of fresh foods and actually like making yourself sick from it.
Wow.
So we have less of that to worry about since now we have this kind of artificial thing where we have access to fresh foods, tropical foods. It doesn't matter. We have access to them, but we still, especially up here in the cooler northern areas, we still have the short day length. We still have the cold weather that still makes us feel like hibernating. And basically, the way I look at spring cleansing or spring tonics is to kind of just help support the organs of elimination that have gotten stagnant over the winter. And a lot of the like pre-made cleanses that you might buy tend to really focus heavily on the laxative effect.
I was going to say they're kind of harsh to your body. It's not a gentle or natural. Elimination. It's more
right. It's pretty strong stuff. I mean, they're usually like what are called stimulant laxatives that like really just make things move. And those I feel like are better reserved for targeted applications as opposed to just like everybody take that in the spring. I like to use more gentle things. And I mean, basically the main organs of elimination are the kidneys, the liver, and the skin. And, so one of my favorites is dandelion, both the greens and the root. The root has more liver affinity and the leaves more kidney affinity. But basically, the dandelion leaves are one of our classic salad greens, and salads traditionally tended to be more bitter than our
Than what we have.
than what we. I mean, and now with like the resurgence of like microgreens and mesclun and stuff, we're getting more towards that, having some more bitter type of greens in the salad, and the bitter flavor is very important. It's largely missing from the American diet. You know, it's but in Europe, in other parts of the world, it's much more common. Like in Italy, there's actually like these bitter lemon sodas, and they're just like 3 or 4 ounces, but it's a bitter soda for taking before meals to help support digestion. Because when we taste that bitter flavor, whether you like it or not, what's happening is it stimulates saliva production in your mouth, and it stimulates stomach acid production in your stomach, and the pancreas secretes enzymes. It gets the liver going and helps it to produce bile, and then for the gallbladder to actually release bile into the digestive tract, and it gently moves the bowels as well. So that gentle effect of stimulating digestion, I prefer over the like forcing the body.
So what about I mean, every bar you go into, I just remember back from my bartending days, you always had a bottle of bitters. Is that
That's a similar, thing? Yeah, and a lot of cocktails were originally used for medicinal effects, like
Granny's tonic.
Well, for instance, like with gin and tonic, where you've got the tonic water that has quinine or cinchona bark, you know, which is an anti-malarial. It was actually like a pleasant way of helping malaria. To protect yourself from malaria.
It wasn't just something you drink after golf.
and
there was a lot of malaria. That's the whole thing. The malarial mosquitoes are out on the golf course, and that therefore.
And I think it was actually the British in India. So, like, you know, people that haven't been in a tropical environment and now they're being exposed to malaria, so they're not as genetically resistant to it, so like the Angostura bitters, which are probably the most common bitter in the bar, aren't super bitter, but they do, like, even to this day, sometimes people do bitters in soda, like to settle their stomach, you know, just like a squirt of the Angostura bitters. And now also, like, with this, like, whole mixology type thing, there's all these different bitters that are being used more commonly in bars now, you know, or they're making their own, like, house bitter blends. And it's following the same principle of that bitter flavor, and these different bitter plants help to stimulate the digestive processes. And like here in Vermont, we have the Urban Moonshine that's made a whole business out of digestive bitters.
I haven't heard of that. What is?
They have like bitters even in like little spray bottles and stuff that you can, and they have like a chocolate love tonic and.
So are these bitters that are available that are non-alcoholic, that have no alcohol in them, or are they all alcohol-based?
Many of them are going to be in an alcohol base to dissolve the bitter constituents. But as far as
can you use them as more, not to kind of joke about it, but can you use them as a more medicinal purpose?
Oh yeah. Much more so. I mean, the amount of alcohol you consume in a dose would be very minimal. Okay. I mean, like for instance, like with the ones in the sprays, you're getting maybe an eighth of a teaspoon of total for a medicinal amount. And I think that they use the spray just to make it so you can have it like right in your purse and just be able to like right before a meal.
And again, so it helps with digestion and helps with optimized digestion?
Yeah, it's helping basically that bitter flavor by encouraging the stimulation of all different parts of our digestion. It's basically telling the body like, hey, food's going to be coming, get ready for it.
Because isn't that part of what a lot of people have issues with digestion, is their digestion just isn't as working as well as it should, and that's when we get into, again, just not feeling good.
And one of the things, like GERD, or acid reflux is very common, but contrary to the regular, typical Western treatments, 95% of the time it's actually too low of stomach acid, not too high of stomach acid that's causing the issue. So like the food is sitting too long, and or the sphincter, the pyloric sphincter, is coming open and allowing acid to wash up into the esophagus. So by helping to stimulate the stomach to make a healthy amount of acid, it's helping to prevent that and get the get the food digested. One of the the proton pump inhibitors, like the little purple pill or whatever, the Prilosec that are commonly prescribed, they actually like inhibit the acid production right at the stomach level, and that can, particularly if the actual cause is too low acid, it's going to
really make it.
So it's like a ripple effect. It can be a ripple effect.
Yeah, and as we age, we make less acid. So the older you are, the more likely it's going to be an issue of low acid. But that acid also protects by killing most of the bacteria that are in the food when it gets into the stomach. Right. So by lowering the acid, you can also put yourself at more risk for getting infections from foodborne infections,
right.
As well as the absorption of minerals is really relying on the acid. So people are worried about bone health. It's another reason that interfering with that acid production is often not the best way to go.
It's not intuitive. It's almost counterintuitive because we've learned that through all of the commercials and everything, that acid in your stomach is bad.
But actually you need it.
Well, and it's a simplistic thing, as with many things. It's, like the whole, like cholesterol, you eat it and it gets clogged in your artery. It sounds good, but it's just, because it's nice and simple. And also, like with stomach acid, it's like, oh, I'm feeling all this acid, there must be too much. It's intuitive. So that's why it's pretty easy to, go down that path, even though it's actually a little more complicated than that, and it may very well be that you actually
lowering the acid is actually making you feel worse. Yeah.
Right. Well, and I mean, unfortunately, with those proton pump inhibitors, often, if you take them for a few weeks, the side effects of coming off of them are like heartburn type stuff. So you're never. So they very easily become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
You take them for heartburn, but then they give you heartburn.
If you try to get off them, so then of course
I feel better now, and then you get this.
But then of course, then you're like,
that really worked.
Right. Now I better keep taking it. So
a simpler solution for that would be.
Well, my favorite is, the bitters are useful, but as far as for symptom relief, DGL, which is deglycyrrhizinated licorice. So it's licorice root extract with this one constituent that can raise blood pressure and has some hormonal effects is removed. And basically the licorice helps to protect the esophagus and the lining of the stomach. And they come in tasty little like tablets that you can eat the same way you would eat like Tums, but you can take these instead, and rather than interfering with the acid production one way or the other, they're just helping to increase the protection of
so you can tolerate higher acid, basically.
And to help heal. I mean, because one of the huge dangers with GERD is that acid coming up into your esophagus, the stomach is designed to hold the acid. The esophagus is not, and it erodes and gets what it's called Barrett's esophagus. It can literally cause
syndrome, right?
Esophageal cancer in the long term. I mean, that's like one of the issues that like bulimics have, is that all that stomach acid is just constantly irritating those cells and putting you at risk for cancer. And so it's actually a pretty serious thing. So generally, I would use something like a combination of the DGL frequently throughout the day for symptom treatment and relief, and then something to a bitters formula to help with supporting healthy digestion, so that there's less chance for things to be sitting there and bubbling back up.
So I have a question about you see some of these teas. There's like a yogi tea out there that's a cleanse tea that has dandelion as one of the base roots. What do you think about the commercial products? You can get that kind of commercial product, like a yogi tea.
That's totally good. The one, I would just watch out in some of those cleanse ones would have the stimulant laxatives. Like the main ones that you see are senna, leaf, and cascara sagrada. And so those are going to be more pushing.
Okay.
And that can be fine in smaller doses, but those are habit-forming laxatives. If you use them over the course, if you use them to have bowel movements, you can get very dependent on them because it's forcing the colon. And also for colonoscopies and stuff, those constituents which are called they're a type of glycoside. I'm blanking on
fine.
it. But
Yeah, I was going to say,
what they do,
I can't believe you don't know that.
But
Come
what
on.
they do is they actually stain the cells of the colon. So like you could have a colonoscopy and the doc's like, why are your cells yellow or whatever?
Yeah,
and it's because these constituents over time actually,
Stain.
which isn't necessarily dangerous, but it's kind of weird. I mean, it's just kind of a
Can
strange
you pick
thing.
the color? Can you like?
Come on.
It's like interior design.
Interior design.
Yeah.
Feng shui for
Literally.
your colon.
Yes,
Colon
literally.
feng shui.
But yeah, the commercial products are great, and as far as for picking the wild
But
dandelion,
you have to be careful with them a little bit, sounds like.
Yeah, you just
gotta
want to
look at
watch
the
like that yogi
ingredients.
tea. If dandelion is like one of the main things, that's going to be a nice gentle dandelion or nettles, and both of those. So the dandelion, everyone pretty much knows what that looks like. The best time to pick the leaves so that they're not too bitter is before the flowers bloom. So just the nice young tender leaves, and at first, even just mixing a few of those into a regular salad just to kind of add a little bit of bitter, or a really great way to use them is to make a pesto with it. Just grind the dandelion leaves in place of basil, and then use nuts and oil, cheese if you want, and it's a totally different flavor, but it makes a very delicious spread, and that's a nice way to add a little bit of that dandelion in.
Because I'm just going to guess that that's probably, if you can try to incorporate the cleansing effect of these different things into the actual food that you eat, that's probably
The best. Yeah.
the best path.
Yeah, well, it's gentle, it's easy, and I mean you can even buy dandelion leaves at the store if you're concerned about finding the right ones
Finding the
or
ones that
contamination.
The dog hasn't been using.
Right. Well, often, one of the better places is to like ask an organic farm, "Hey, can I go pick some of your dandelions?" Because it's just weeds to them usually,
right. That's
interesting.
and then you'll know that there's nothing sprayed. Or we have a lot of cow fields around here, and
Yeah.
they seem to like those manured fields really a lot. As do the stinging nettles, which is another plant that is
We talked about those
Singing
last.
which we talked about last year, and it's too early to actually bring any in so far. But that's another nice one for helping to support elimination through the kidneys, and quite tasty, I think. But that takes a little more preparation. And
So where are you in your process right now? Like you, as a naturalist and a person who you really supplement a lot of your diet with natural. Are you like waiting for the snow to go away and then things will be there?
I mean,
You
I'm
gotta put
still,
snow-
doing the last kind of like chaga hunting while the leaves are still off the trees,
Uh-huh.
looking for chaga mushrooms and stuff. But the spring is one of my favorite times. One, because we haven't had live growing plants for so long. But two, there's so many really cool plants that are what are known as spring ephemerals. They bloom before the trees leaf out. All these herbaceous plants, they're taking advantage of that early sun, and that's part of why like the trees wait so long is to give these understory plants some time. Well, I don't know how that's exactly coordinated, but
They're
not
people,
like, "Wait
the
a
plant
second."
people talk to the tree people, and they work it out.
You guys are a little early.
A little early, what's going on?
What's going on?
yeah. So there's a lot of really cool little flowers and stuff that basically, after May or June, a lot of those die back and you don't really even see them.
Right.
So it's always exciting for me. Like one of my favorites is Bloodroot, which has these just beautiful white flowers with really narrow petals and yellow stamens in the middle of it. And it's got a bright red sap when you break the leaves. And it's a great anti-tumor agent, like particularly for like topical cancers and stuff. And it's one of it's pretty. It's pollinated by ants. The seeds actually have these little oil glands that release the same smells as ant eggs.
Oh, really?
So the ants, when they see this seed, it's like, oh, that's an
That's one
egg,
of our eggs.
and they take it back and they take
Yeah.
it into their nest where the eggs are. So they plant the seeds into their nest because it mimics the egg. So that's one of my early spring favorites. And
What do you do with that?
you harvest it's got these roots, kind of like ginger type rhizomes underneath that are orangey or red, and so that's the part that's harvested. And then I do two things with it. I dry some of it and grind it to a powder and add it to my tooth powders because it's really good for tooth decay. It's got anti-cavity properties. And then I also make like a salve with it, infusing it into oil for use on various abnormal growths. You don't have to necessarily wait to be a full-on cancer. But I had actually a really nice success story that I guess about sometime last year I made a salve for someone that I'd never met who needed it for something on their face. And then I got an update this winter that the growth, like Dartmouth had told them they're going to basically have to cut like half their nose out.
Wow.
And after using the salve, they
went away.
It was able to, so it was a lag time of hearing about the success story, but I was pretty excited to see that it worked well, because you can buy Bloodroot based products online, but most of them, because people use it for things like breast cancer and stuff that I don't recommend. But they combine the Bloodroot with these really caustic compounds, like zinc chloride's a favorite one, that literally eat the tissue, whereas Bloodroot alone does not harm healthy cells at all. It only harms cancerous cells or abnormally growing cells. So these products online, they'll literally eat into the breast to get at a tumor or something, but I don't trust that at all. And I've had, and people have gotten very disfigured because they think, oh, this is natural, I'll be fine. But just the straight salve is much more gentle and seems to be quite effective.
So quick.
We need to do a time check because we forgot our
timer.
We forgot our timer today.
Minutes.
We have 2 minutes.
So with the 2 minutes left, what is something? So people are watching. What is something quick and easy that they can do to kind of help support a cleanse? Would it be just as simple as adding more greens to their diet, taking out maybe some carbohydrates and adding greens?
I would say a simple thing would be replace some of the green, eat more greens, and of those, add some arugula or some dandelion leaf, radicchio, or any of or endive or escarole, which those are all cresses. Those are nice bitters that will help to stimulate cleansing. That and get out and get in the sun and enjoy the warm spring air and
it's almost what.
It's almost
15 out
50,
there. Right?
I think it's a high of 20 today. I'm not sure. And if people want to contact you, Justin, how do they? I know we always
how
do we contact it? And they can see you here at Greater Rock now too.
Yes, you can definitely come see me here at Greater Rock, and you can contact me at 257-9910. That's my office line, or sweetflagmedicinals@gmail.com.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks for coming in. It's always a great.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And
I learned
next
something
week,
new
our next month, we'll probably actually have some greens or something.
We'll have actually something
green.
Hopefully something growing.
Something growing green next month. And next week we actually have the Central School, some ladies from the Central School coming to talk about the Rockingham race, which is coming up, the 5K that Central School does, which is a great fundraiser for the school. And then maybe we'll even have a little clip of Jesus Christ Superstar next week.
Yes, we should.
Hope.
We probably could have done that this week, but it's been one of those days.
It's been one of those weeks. Did you not see the post on Facebook you put on of how my Monday went?
Yeah, all right.
It was a shot in the face.
So that's it, folks in Bellows Falls and Rockingham. See
Mike's
you next
off to
week.
get his tonic.
I'm getting my granny's spring tonic, and I'll have some energy next week. All right, bye.
Bye, community.
Thank you.
That's it, folks, for the feed. Be sure to catch us every Wednesdays at 7:30 a.m. Also, find us on Facebook at Fact TV, or tell us what you think. thefeed8@gmail.com. And don't forget to watch the feed online at www.fact8.com.